Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Idle Heroes account. You will see here we have a clear of 939. The specific clear details, this is my proudest, most awesome accomplishment, I think, in my entire Idle Heroes career. I'm quite happy with how this went. So we're going to discuss this stage, we're going to break it down, and we're going to talk about the strategy I used in order to clear it. It put me top 40 in iOS, which is absolutely amazing. Here we are, lots of smart, incredible players here. We've got Save Ukraine there, who is an absolutely spectacular Williams that I would love to steal and play with for my own, but alas, I cannot. And then all the way up here, we've got two more Williams mains that absolutely just, man, they pummel me. They are extremely good players. Pushing chapter 10 now, which is absolutely incredible. I am honored to be placed among them. But, so, 939, you might not be familiar with the not chapter 9 version, but it's precisely the same as the other earlier versions, except with more stats. So there you go. The reason this is so nasty for those who are unacquainted, I'm sure you all are if you're watching my video, but Valkyrie will go to her skill kit. Boom, 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 boom. Here she is. All right. When controlled, restores self HP by 200% of attack for 3 rounds and burns 3 random enemies, dealing damage by 3% of Valkyrie's max HP. So, when she's controlled, you're probably familiar with using TVB to absolutely blast your way through all PvE content and then just reaching stages that you have no business fighting, such as the case with me at this moment. And now you can't use that because she does what is practically infinite damage to you every time you inflict a CC effect, because 3% of Valkyrie's HP is an exorbitant amount because of how PvE enemies scale. So this is absolutely insane, the amount of damage you take from this. So you can't really CC lock these guys. In addition, the active skill also burning, and lastly, burning with the basic as well. So extremely yucky hero to go up against. Practically infinite damage with all of her attacks and can't be controlled. So what do you do against a hero like that? The traditional strategy is to burst her down, but as you can see, my prime burster is no longer a burster. He is disassembled, and in fact, there's a slight miscalculation, and I'm out of soul symbols at the moment. So he's MIA for the time being, but that's okay. Let's address the elephant in the room. The A- Nirvana Lifestar Chaosbound Spirit Gaggie. Good lord, I can't talk. Why would anybody own this absolute atrocity? We're gonna talk about it. So I saw this guy pop up for 7.4k Starry Gems in the auction house, and I kept my idea under my hat, although it did take a very high amount of effort to remain silent on this. But I bid it, and then I won the bid, and so here's what I have. And this is the makings of the clear. So, for those who don't know, Holy Armor applies the strength of armor to damage sources that typically armor would not reduce. Damage over time is the prime example of this. In addition, he has the Flickering Splendid Torch, 80% dot reduce, again. So this is an incredibly damage over time resistant Gagginator. But who cares? Why couldn't this just be any other support? Why did it have to be the worst hero in the game? Which, by the way, if you're asking, isn't Gaggie the worst hero in the game? Doesn't he suck? I would say I would sign off on that probably. He's not very helpful in most cases, except for this one, actually. So very, very niche hero. But that's what gives him character. But this did need to be Gaggie. And the reasons are this. Look at the deep sublimation on the active. There is a 75% chance to taunt each enemy respectively for 2 rounds. On the basic, there is a 60% chance to taunt each enemy respectively for 2 rounds. Who cares? We know that Valkyrie reacts with CC, reacts with burn whenever she is CC. So why would we want to inflict another CC effect? The reason for this is because when taunted, Valkyrie actually does not burn 3 enemies. She burns only the taunter. So, the net amount of burn going out to the team is now less than half what it was initially. It is divided by 3. Because now, instead of 3 enemies, only 1 enemy is receiving that damage over time. And that enemy is extremely resistant to dot. So he is just going to brush that off, unless he gets overwhelmed by it, which is possible. But regardless, I used Doppelganger Natalia as the damage dealer here. She had 112 million attack at the time of the clear. And another pivotal team member for this was Star Alchemist Holmes Young. His perceptual disorder, his ally buffs, both proved invaluable, and the dove came in clutch probably a million bajillion times in the clear. So, without any further ado, let us hop in and look at some actual footage of this gnarly clear. So, we'll hop into the camera mode, and we'll take a look. So, here's what the fight looks like. TBB triggers, dies because we run her with Balance Strike because we don't want her to trigger again. And you'll notice Gaggie just took 2 Valk burns, did not die, is still alive in fact, and remains. The Holmes Young hits not doing much damage. And we can discuss the rest of the team members. We have PDE. She is going to heal the Gaggie, so he takes damage from the dots. PDE heals him back up. I think in combination with the dot and the potency of the heals, I think PDE is probably the best supporter healer for this stage if you were going to use a hero of that particular persuasion. Moving along, we have this one. This is one of the very close attempts that I had. So TBB dies. DGN gets a very big whack off that first Holmes there. The CC sticks on all of them, which is what you want to see. So you don't need to worry about taking actives or basics during round 2 either. And so now 1 Valk is sniped, 1 Holmes is sniped. We have 2 perceptual disorders, or 1. And then PDE sadly inflicted fear upon that bottom Valk, I think. If I saw that correctly anyway. I might not have. But regardless, we died too quickly. And alas, that is going to end the clear. We did take the Valks with us, but alas, not enough. So we look at this next one here, and we should be starting to see the makings of what made this clear possible. Gaggie steals at least some of the damage over time that would be inflicted by the Valkyries for himself. PDE dodge RNG will need to pop off if this is going to work. Star Alchemist Holmes Young will need to inflict perceptual disorder on the proper heroes, which is no easy feat because the highest attacks tend to be the Holmes Youngs, but we want to get that over on the Valks. So we have to debuff the attack stat on the Holmes Youngs, making the frontline Valkyries the highest attack, and therefore targets of perceptual disorder, as seen right there. It also doesn't hurt to inflict doves upon the Valks, because doves deactivate passive skills, and thus Valkyries will not react violently to being CC'd. This includes non-dove CC that is placed upon them when dubbed. So let's say Sahi dubs a Valkyrie, and then Gaggie inflicts taunt. That taunt will not trigger a burn. If he freezes, it also will not trigger. So a dubbed Valkyrie is one we want to focus CC down hard on. Not that we have a choice in that matter. But we'll see there PDE causing my team to die by inflicting fear on that first one. We took a lot of damage with that. And then she inflicts 2 more, so she kind of threw the match there. She did that a lot. That was the cause of many of my crash outs over this 5-hour recording session and probably 7 to 8 hours of just manually moving things. I was a busy boy on Friday, I sure was, but it was worth it. A third of my day filled with abject rage and fury, and then it was capped off by utter, complete bliss. Amazing. But yeah, so you don't want PDE to inflict many fears unless the dove is on the Valk, which is not always the case. But regardless, you can stack CC effects if you wish. As long as the Gaggie lives, more CC is better. You just don't want to stack too much on the Valks, because remember, each CC is going to target Gaggie specifically now, so you can't RNG his survival. You have to be very specific about the amount of CC that you land on the Valks. You want enough that she remains under control throughout the whole fight, but not so much that the Gaggie dies because he's just taking too much. Yeah, It's always a good thing when the shadow mirror that you see on the first Valk there targets a Valk and not a Homes, because we don't tend to mind if the Homes live for a while. His damage over time is much less dangerous than that of the Valks. You'll see PDE's dodges there helping out a little bit, but not enough. Here's the receipt. I had this idea in 2023, November 27th there at 6:50 p.m. I saved this screenshot so that I could have it for proof because I have an absolutely enormous ego that needs to be fed at all times. So there you go. I did that for myself selfishly. Moving onwards, I believe this one to be the clear. You'll see here we get good RNG. Taunts on one Valk. No unbending. There's Unbending Will on the Gaggie there. One of the Homes is dead. We get another taunt and a dove. And there we see, now's the time to inflict CC on that top Valk if possible. Dodge coming in clutch. You saw that Gaggie just eat that basic. We're going to watch this a few times as I commentate over and explain the clear a bit more. Perceptual Disorder landing on the Homes and a dove on that first Valk. We froze the Valk immediately after, and that did not cause any burns whatsoever, which was nice. Quite good. The Gaggie is dead, but at this point, I'm afraid it is too late. We have 2 Perceptual Disorder bottles coming out now, and we win. Be prepared to be flashbanged because I screenshot like 4 or 5 times right after this just to show all my stuff. This is an unedited footage string here, so there's no funny business that I can be accused of you overstatted and then you remove the stats afterwards. Nope, this is the direct clip unedited, which is cool. So here are my hero stats at the time of the clear. A few details. What would I do differently? 1, Wukong over TBB is better, in my opinion, as long as you are able to land the stuns with Wukong round 1. He is just better in every sense. So 1, he will only inflict 1 batch of stuns round 1, which means you can run him with Unbending Will because he will not trigger twice in 1 round, and therefore he can serve as a meat bag to take damage. And also, he reduces damage reduction on the enemies, which is extremely helpful for doing extra damage. And lastly, he will also inflict your holy damage, so buffing your enemy team's offense while simultaneously giving the same CC RNG as the TBB would be. Well, not the same RNG, but the same CC ceiling that TBB would give. So Wukong is just the best in slot for something like this, in my opinion. I would also use a different damage dealer. So I would probably sub out Sahi or PDE for this, and then put either DTV, Star Swordsman, Mockman, Williams, or even Asmodel the Dauntless in here instead. Perceptual Disorder was incredibly useful, so you might be like, why would we remove Sahi? Well, DGN is a single target damage dealer, so if we have a global damage dealer, like one of those I mentioned earlier, Perceptual Disorder might not be as important because the fight just won't last as long, because the heroes are capable of nuking over a shorter period of time, and so therefore there's less time in which the heroes are free to do damage to you. So perhaps Perceptual Disorder not as needed, but definitely needed here. It was pivotal, in fact. I would consider him one of the 3 MVPs here of this clear, those being Gaggie, of course, with his dot eating capabilities, Perceptual Disorder, and Dove from the Star Alchemist Homes. And then the Silent Helpers, of course. PDE supplying heals to the Gaggie, the dodge, and Melissa providing damage reduction to the enemies. And of course, DGN, my star of the show, dealing the damage. Quite nice. But yeah, the way the account looked, that's sadly how it's going to look for a while now, because I cannot switch back until I get soul symbols, and so that's going to be probably the next Heroic Summit event. I used all of my Prophet Orb soul symbols already to do this, and so now we're locked in, which kind of feels bad. But hey, regardless, this was probably I mentioned, my proudest clear. It was absolutely amazing. I thought this was the most minimal ever recorded. I have been informed by the free-to-play chat, who, by the way, they are probably the most concentrated batch of skilled players in the entire player base. The free to play chat in the Idle Heroes discussion Discord. They are just absolutely masters of the game, and I learn a lot from them. So I'd like to thank them specifically for guiding my Star Swordsman Mockman journey. I hang out there a lot. They are Idle Heroes wizards. Um, just I'm incredibly jealous of their raw skill and talent and understanding of the game. So big shout out to them. Anyway, that's all I have. We can watch this play out one more time, and then I will sign off. But thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. But yeah, I heard a 105 million attack. Star Swordsman Mockman did this under the guidance of one of the free to play specific players. So, of course, my moment in the sun now no longer. But hey, at least the Mockman did it, right? But regardless, have yourselves a good one. Thank you very much for watching. I love you all. Stay in touch. Reach out to me on Discord if you like talking to arrogant pricks such as myself. If not, I will not be hearing from you. But if so, please reach out. You can just search my name in most of the big Idle Heroes Discords. My name is just WI_LLL or Will. But yep, I can be found or avoided rather easily, depending on your particular preference. So one last thank you, and goodbye for real.